3 chilling blizzard horror stories that actually happened. Hey everyone, welcome back. Blizzards don't just bring snow, they bring silence. The kind that presses in from all sides, swallowing sound, erasing landmarks, turning the world into an endless white void. When the wind howls at 60 miles an hour and visibility drops to zero, help is hours or days away. Phones die, power fails, and sometimes something else finds you in the storm. Tonight, 3 chilling blizzard horror stories that people claim actually happened to them. These aren't fictional tales of monsters in the snow. They're accounts of real isolation, impossible encounters, and the thin line between survival and something far worse. If you're somewhere cold tonight, maybe bundle up a little tighter. Let's get started. The plow driver who wasn't alone on the highway. This is from Ryan, a snowplow operator in northern Minnesota. He'd been on the job for 8 winters, long enough to know that blizzards turn familiar roads into death traps. His route was a 40-mile stretch of rural highway, 2 lanes flanked by endless pine forest and frozen fields. It was January 2019. A storm the National Weather Service called historic. Winds gusted to 70 miles per hour. Snow fell at 3 inches an hour. Temperature -22 degrees Fahrenheit, with wind chill pushing -50. Ryan started his shift at 10 p.m. The plow's cab was warm, heater roaring, wipers slapping rhythmically against the glass. Headlights cut twin tunnels through the swirling white. Beyond that, nothing existed. Around 1:30 a.m. he was clearing the eastbound lane when his radio crackled dispatch asking for status. He answered, voice muffled by the scarf wrapped around his face. Then static. Then silence. A few miles later he spotted something odd. Fresh tire tracks veering off the shoulder into the ditch, deep and recent. No vehicle in sight. He slowed, swung the plow's spotlight. The tracks disappeared into a wall of snow maybe 20 feet from the road, impossible depth for a car to plow through without getting stuck. He stopped, engine idling, the low rumble vibrating through the seat. Wind screamed against the cab, rocking it side to side. Then he heard it, a faint tapping on the passenger window. Not wind, deliberate, knuckles on glass. Ryan turned, nothing but snow blasting sideways. He wiped fog from the inside of the glass. Still nothing. But the tapping came again, slow, patient. 3 knocks, then 3 more. He radioed dispatch, got possible stranded motorist. Mile marker 112. Tracks off-road, someone knocking on the cab. Static answered. He killed the engine to listen better. The sudden quiet was deafening only, the wind howling, snow pelting metal like shotgun pellets. Then, from directly behind him in the cab, breathing, slow, heavy, fogging the rear window from the inside. Ryan spun. Empty cab. But the breath marks were there, 2 large ovals, slowly fading. The smell hit next. Wet wool, diesel, and something coppery, like blood. He restarted the truck, floored it. The plow lurched forward, chains clanking. In the side mirror, he caught movement, something tall and dark, staggering alongside the truck, keeping pace in the whiteout. Not running, walking, calmly. He pushed the speed to 40 miles per hour. Dangerous in those conditions, but the figure stayed level. Silhouette flickering in and out of the plow's lights. No face visible, just a hooded shape, arms loose at sides. At mile marker 118 the road curved. Ryan took it fast. The figure vanished from the mirror. He didn't stop until he reached the county shed 12 miles later. When he climbed down, shaking, he found long scratches along the passenger door, 3 parallel lines, deep enough to cut paint, fresh enough that snow hadn't covered them. Dispatch had no record of any stranded vehicles that night. No missing persons reports. Ryan transferred to day shifts after that storm. He still drives that highway sometimes. On bad nights, he keeps the cab lights on full, even though it ruins visibility, just in case. The cabin that was already occupied from Lauren. She and her husband rented a remote cabin in the Colorado Rockies for a winter getaway. January 2022. The listing promised total seclusion, 15 miles from the nearest paved road. They arrived just as the blizzard warnings escalated. They made it in before the pass closed. The cabin was small, wood stove, loft bedroom, single window overlooking a frozen lake. Snow started falling heavy around dusk. By midnight the wind was slamming the walls, snow piling against the door, so thick they had to shovel from the inside to keep it clear. Around 3 a.m. Lauren woke to scratching. Not at the door, rapped the ceiling. Slow drags, like fingernails on wood, circling above the loft. She shook her husband awake. They listened. The scratching paused, then resumed directly over their heads. They climbed down, lit lanterns. The wind howled so loud it drowned most sounds, but the scratching persisted, methodical, patient. They checked the attic hatch, nailed shut, dust undisturbed. No animals, no leaks. Then the smell, faint at first, like wet dog and wood smoke, growing stronger. Something moved in the corner of the main room behind the woodpile. A soft thump, like a body shifting weight. Lauren's husband grabbed the fireplace poker. They approached. The smell intensified, musky animal, with a sour undercurrent. In the lantern light, a shape crouched low, back to them, broad shoulders under a heavy coat crusted with snow that hadn't melted despite the stove's heat. "Hey!" her husband shouted. The figure didn't turn. It simply rose slowly, joints popping audibly, and stepped sideways into shadow. Gone, but the coat left wet streaks on the floorboards, dark and spreading. They barricaded the door with the couch. The scratching returned, now at the walls circling the cabin, testing seams. Every few minutes a heavy fist pounded once on the exterior, shaking snow loose from the roof. At dawn the storm eased enough to see outside. Footprints large, bare circled the cabin completely, pressed deep into fresh powder. No trail leading in or out. They started and ended at the walls, as if whatever made them had simply appeared. They packed and left as soon as the road reopened. The rental company claimed no one had been there in weeks. Lauren still wakes to phantom scratching on windy nights. She says the worst part wasn't the figure, it was realizing the cabin had never really been empty. The search party that found the wrong tracks. From Eric, a volunteer search and rescue member in Alberta, Canada. February 2020, a father and teenage son went snowmobiling during an incoming blizzard and didn't return. Eric's team was called out at 4 a.m. Conditions were brutal. -30°C, winds 80 km/h, visibility under 10 meters. They followed the last known GPS ping to a frozen river valley. Snowmobiles struggled. They switched to skis and snowshoes. Around 7 a.m. they found the abandoned sled's half-buried keys, still in ignition, fuel tanks empty. Nearby, 2 sets of bootprints heading away from the machines, side by side, purposeful. The team followed. The tracks were perfect at first, crisp edges, even spacing. Then they changed. One set veered off, dragging, as if the person was being pulled. The other continued straight, but the stride lengthened in naturally long steps. The team pushed on. Wind tore at their faces, snow stinging like needles through balaclavas. After an hour the tracks split again. One set circled back toward the sleds in a wide loop. The other plunged deeper into a stand of black spruce. They followed the circling set, first hoping it meant the father had doubled back for help. The loop tightened, spiraling inward, until it ended in the center of a small clearing. In the middle, a single boot, upright in the snow, laces tied neatly, no foot inside, no blood, just the boot, standing alone. The other tracks, the dragging ones, continued into thicker forest. Eric's team followed until the prints simply stopped. No body, no sign of struggle. Just 2 parallel furrows in the snow ending abruptly, as if the person had been lifted straight up. They searched for hours, found nothing else. The official report listed the pair as lost to exposure, but Eric kept photos of the tracks. On the last frame, zoomed in the background, barely visible through trees, a third set of prints, barefoot, massive, walking parallel to theirs the entire time. The team never spoke publicly about the third set. Eric quit SAR after that winter. He says on blizzard nights he still hears the wind carrying distant boot steps, slow, deliberate, circling closer. Those are the 3 stories. Blizzards don't just freeze the body, they freeze time, strip away certainty, leave you alone with whatever's already waiting in the white. If you've lived through a storm that felt wrong, send it in. We might read it. Thanks for listening. Subscribe if you want more true horror. Hit the bell. And if the wind picks up tonight, maybe stay inside. Stay warm out there.